Another GW exclusive is here.
Spiky Bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com, and we are unboxing and building the Black Library Celebration Captain Uriel Ventris, the captain of the Ultramarines 4th Company. Now, chances are, if you've read a Black Library book, you've probably read one of Graham McNeil's starring Uriel Ventris. So now he's crossed the Rubicon Primaris, and well, he's become a Primaris Marine. So that's kind of cool. This model's it's kind of interesting. This is $35 US. It's somewhat limited. They told stores they can get 3, and they can do some sort of made to order thing and maybe get more later on down the road, something, you know, with all the supply chain issues. I mean, that's kind of cool. I could see where a lot of people would want this miniature. You can always get yours for less, of course, at dicehead.com or Amazon, your local game store. But chances are it's going to be a little dry here on this mini until they get the rest of them out the door there. It looks like they're basically going for retail right now, but I'm sure that won't hold up going into the weeks and months ahead on this one. Now, this particular model right here is actually might represent something very important for the hobby in general, because this kind of represents a little bit of a turning point for Games Workshop. We've seen a lot of pivoting on their part over the past several weeks / months, whereas, you know, they've put back releases. You know, we were supposed to get 2 codexes a release, but because of COVID and because of supply chain issues, they haven't done that. Maybe more importantly, we saw them actually lower a price on something. In the Warhammer app for 40K, they actually lowered the price from $4.99 to $2.99, or maybe it was $1.99. I don't really care. I'm not going to buy it personally because that's how I'm voting with my hobby dollars, right? And you know, one of the things that I noticed, like, we've never seen GW lower a price. We've never seen GW cave to public pressure on anything until this model came along. As you can see, this model has a completely different head than what is actually inside this box. You probably already noticed in the pictures that the head is completely different. So they showcased this model with this image, and all this packaging was probably done ahead of time because this is not the head inside the box. Back in December, they revealed this during the Black Library big preview. I think it was the 5th of December. So here it is, the weekend of the 28th of February, the last weekend in February. And we get this model with a completely different head. They put it out as a preview 2 weeks ago with a completely different head. The model itself, completely the same, painted and everything, just the head miraculously changed. So in the course of 2-ish months, Games Workshop somehow managed to change the sprue, because there isn't an alternate head in here. I already looked. They changed the sprue. It's a completely different design, because you can see all of the robotics and stuff and the bionics around the head that actually comes in this box. So let me see if I can go find a picture of the new head that's coming in here that we compared on Spiky Bits. So it's just a really interesting time for the hobby, because GW is actually really paying attention closely to not only our buying habits, with actually lowering a price on something for the first time in like ever, but also on changing a model that literally was panned across the internet, because, I mean, let's face it, he has a less than flattering head sculpt. Okay, I was able to go back on the site and find where we compared what was going on with Uriel Ventris. So here is the model, if you couldn't see it on the top of the box right there. There is the model they showcased back in December. That's the model on the box. All the angles, everything on the box is the same. And then you scroll down here, you can see the Black Library preview. And here is what the new model looks like right here. So the model was completely changed. It's the same painted miniature. I mean, you can tell by the brush strokes on the purity seal. Everything is the same here. It's like they pulled this head off. They sculpted a new one. They somehow managed to catch the production of this miniature in time for all the sprues to be redesigned to this right here, put this into this model for the preview pictures, but apparently the boxes were already made, because as you see in front of me, that box has this model on it. So kind of interesting. I think everybody knows that this has changed, and you can tell it's a completely different head because of all the stuff around it, even that, you know, it's not a repaint or anything like that. So I think GW did the right thing going back and changing this head, because it looks way better, and especially with such an iconic character over the past 20 years in Black Library books, you know, it's kind of worth it. It's kind of worth it, right? So getting back to this guy, let's take a look at him. Now, of course, you know, I say a lot, you know, vote with your hobby dollars. And I think it's definitely the, you know, proof is in the pudding right now that that is more so important now than ever. If, you know, if something is a value to you, if the GW app is a 40K app is a value to you, yeah, subscribe for it, get it. You know, if it's a value to you, get it. But if it isn't, don't buy these things. Like, because we, as a community, have forced 2 key points of change from Games Workshop, maybe even 3 if you consider the Games Workshop kind of slid in that they would be releasing the stuff that's coming in Kill Team Pariah Nexus separately in the near future as well, because there was a lot of folks that were really mad on the socials about them locking the heavy intercessors and the flayed ones behind a quote paywall inside of that box after, you know, everybody was all hyped for Indominus and all these things, and they're like, hey, this is the very last units for both armies coming in this box, and this is the only way to get them, guys. You got to buy this $160 box. You got to buy this box. And I think a lot of people, it just wasn't value there, and we heard about it. So hopefully, if you can, you know, if you want to buy the box by all means. But if you want to wait, it's not going to be, apparently, the big 4-month wait, 6-month wait, depending like how we normally see when GW puts things in boxes, then puts them out separately. They seem to indicate that they would all be releasing separately within the next few weeks, according to their post. So that's kind of cool to see. So here's the sprue. And of course, we're going to take a closer look at that. I do like this little base topper right here that Uriel goes on. That's kind of cool that it's flat and it just plops right onto the base. And then you can see it's got the typical, you know, Primaris assembly where you put the front pauldrons, those pauldrons, but the front armor pieces there, the leg armors onto that separately, which really gives you a dynamic kind of posing and detail, you know, and stuff like that. And then this cape's going to go on the back, it looks like, but what I really wanted to show you, oh, I wonder how the instructions are. So there's the new head. You can definitely tell that's a new head right there. It's got all the robotic accessories or bionic accessories things on there, and there's the U, and that is a separate pad, so you can switch it out if you want this Uriel to be not Uriel and want him to be somebody else. Well, you can switch out the pad and put another pad on there if you really want, which is kind of cool. And the head is definitely separate as well, so, and a couple of weapons right there that you could, yep, you could swap that out too. Let's take a look at the instructions. So there's the sprue, there's the head. They don't really show the head. The head's backwards, so you can't really tell. But then, like I was saying, all these parts just kind of go together right there on the front, the legs. And I like this, how they give you views of like how it's supposed to go. That definitely helps assembling it. Arms separate, bolts are separate, head separate, shoulder pad separate, backpack separate. That's cool. And then it goes onto the little base topper right there. Plop the base topper onto there, and you're good to go. Now, if you don't like that lip, I talk about this a lot, but you can get this Liquitex resin sand stuff, which is really thick, and it's better than a pumice. It's definitely better than that textured paint that GW puts out to put around that lip to make it flush and have a little bit of texture. Like if you want them running around in, you know, the tombs of the Nightbringer's crypt, or, you know, on Pavonis or something like that, or, you know, fighting the Tau, or I don't know, you know, whatever he's done. He's done so many things in all the books. It's kind of crazy. And then here's his rules here, but I think we've already seen these, so not a big shocker right there. 110 points. And all the different languages. So that, and then again, pictures of the old head. So let's clip it out. Let's see how it goes together. All right, here he is. Now check this guy out. It probably took longer to clip him off the sprue than actually assemble it together. This was probably one of the better designed Primaris miniature character miniatures that I put together from them, and it's got a lot of detail, like the little Aquila I didn't notice on the cape, and he's got this homage to being in the Deathwatch right there, because once you're in, you're always allowed to display the Deathwatch symbol on your person somewhere like that. I blue tacked him down to the base, because whoever ends up with this miniature on our Patreon, which I'll talk about more in here in a second, you know, I don't know, they might want to paint it separately, so I try to sectionalize everything I put together here on the channel. And then you can see it, you know, it's a very dynamic model. Like you can see the cape and everything in there. The only gotcha that I noticed was I put a little bit too much glue. This stuff here, what is it, the purple stuff, I actually put a little bit too much of this on it, and so I had to cut the little nub off his foot right there, which is really no big deal. Once you glue him down, it shouldn't be a big deal, but just be careful with that. And then that was pretty much the only gotcha. I think that head, them going back and redesigning that head is just way better than what we saw initially. And I'm really happy that, well, with that sculpt and both, that they went back and redid it. Also, another thing right here that I didn't notice in the instructions was this is sectionalized, part of his cape. So you use a little of this super thin Tamiya glue right here, which is pretty much what I used on the rest of the model to assemble it. And you're going to want to lock in this bit here because it doesn't quite line up the way you think it would with the shoulders right here. So I was like, why isn't that working? And I was like, and I just flipped it around and locked it in right there. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So it wasn't a big gotcha, but it's just something to kind of be aware of. And then I actually didn't glue down his head into here either because I figured, hey, sometimes people like painting them separate, or maybe you just want to put a helmet on this guy, you know, whoever ends up with this guy right here. But super fast build, not ETB, but also not, I would say it's easier to build. Wow, I get a wicked hangdown right there, goodness. I need to take care of myself a little bit better. So that's, you know, this turned out to be good. I mean, here's how it compares to some of the other miniatures out there. Like there's Lazarus from the Dark Angels, which is very similar kind of posing and, you know, styling. He definitely has almost a very similar head, to be quite honest, and, you know, a lot going on up here with this. He doesn't, you know, Uriel doesn't have a heraldry right there, but, you know, he's got a lot going on. Very cool looking. This was painted by Hellfire Hobbies. Actually, this one was painted by Hellfire Hobbies too. This was Mephiston right here. So we got a pretty cool looking Mephiston, and he definitely sizes up well to both of them being Primaris and stuff. You know, I think somebody in the comments the other day was like, GW needs to admit that they're basically 28 millimeter is more of a standard, not necessarily a scale, because I mean, this is a 40 millimeter base. This miniature here is definitely way more than 28. I would guess more than 32 inches, but a lot of people say, hey, from the bottom of the model to the eyes is the standard right there, but that I feel like that's way more than 32 as well. So I don't know what the scale is, but I know it's just right to get a lot of paint on here and have some room to do some really cool effects and lots of other stuff right there. So that is it for this one, but I do want to remind you of a couple of things here real quick. Of course, you can always get your hobbies for less from dicehead.com, Amazon, or hopefully your local game store right there. And I did mention earlier that, hey, you know, anybody that subscribes to our Patreon gets a lot of these miniatures because, you know, I buy them, put them together, you know, get a couple extras here and there and send them out to everybody. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about that real quick. So this is our Patreon page right here. We have a bunch of patrons, and, you know, I can't say enough about all the support we get from all the Patreon supporters over there. I think we got about 300. And special shout out to everybody that gave me good wishes from, we had an eye injury last week. It was very, very painful. Eye pain is the worst. So we're back, we're running. I can see again. I could actually be hobby for the first time in like 5 days or so. It was a little touch and go there, but thank you very much for everybody's patience, to the messages and all the other things that were going on here. At one point, I was basically had my eye taped shut and I was squinting to edit posts and slept probably more than a cat over the past couple of days there. Now, one of the big support tiers that, and it looks like we only got 9 of them left here right now, but of course everything changes around the first of the month, is this one right here. A lot of people are signing up for this, and you know, we're seeing a lot of growth with this, and I think it's a really fun one because it's kind of like a random box, like a true kind of just surprise crate, right? It's a supply drop. It's $99. When you sign up, you get all the promos from the $10 and $20 level, which is like some Indominus minis. You get some printed minis, some printed STL minis. You get the STL sampler. So if you want to print out some of the other folks' miniatures that they have up on their Patrons too and check out their Patrons, you can't. But the key here, I think, for a lot of people is you get $200 in value, MSRP, for a $100 sub price. And that's every month back. You know, the first month you'll get a lot more than that, but then every month after that, you're going to get, for $100, you're going to get, and that's shipping including, folks. Like, it's kind of crazy. So we have a lot of stuff around here. We're able to do these special things through some partnerships with different manufacturers, but you get stuff, you know, like, of course, Games Workshop, but a lot of other hobby supplies and a lot of other special surprises that I put in there, and some stuff we print out as well too from the 3D made to order marketplace. So that is it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, folks. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our future unboxings and tutorial videos.